Okay, hello everyone, and welcome on Aki Diaries with yet another interview on our platform. We recently have had completed a very interesting interview series which was titled as Interior Design and Innovation. And in that interview series, we had the opportunity to talk to very interesting set of interior designers, uh, product designers, installation designers, and it was a really great experience talking to all of them. And in many ways, the today's interview is also sort of a continuation of that particular theme. And I'm really delighted to share that today we have with us a young and prominent furniture and product designer from Malaysia, Shahril Faisal, somebody who is a founder at Shahril Faisal Design Studio, Malaysia, an award-winning studio that specializes in furniture, lighting, and interior accessories. So, Shahril, welcome on Archi Diaries.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining today with us. So, let me please allow me to introduce Shahril. Shahril Faisal was born in Kuala Lumpur in 1983. His passion towards creativity led him to pursue his degree in industrial design from University of Technology, Malaysia in 2006. After having worked in industry as a product designer with prestigious multinational companies, in 2014 he established Shahril Faisal Design Studio in Delft, Netherlands, which was later shifted to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. His studio of works range from residential to contract furniture for living, bedroom, dining, and kitchen, and also lighting and interior accessories. The studio has won numerous international awards, and their work has been exhibited in furniture fairs and galleries across Kuala Lumpur, Milan, Paris, Tokyo, Shanghai, Taipei, and Singapore. The firm has also featured in the renowned magazines such as Cult Magazine Australia, Canadian Interiors, Elle Decor India, to mention a few. Shahril Faisal has served as a guest lecturer in several Malaysian universities and colleges, and also served as a guest speaker in numerous occasions at events across Asia. The title of the talk that Shahril has chosen today is Design DNA. Shahril, thank you for joining with us, and this sounds for a very exciting presentation. Over to you.
Can you see? Can you guys see?
Yes, perfect.
All right. Okay, so today about my presentation is going to talk about my design DNA. Okay, so I start off with a little bit of my background. As I just mentioned just now, I was born in Kuala Lumpur in 1983, and I was graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Industrial Design in 2006. After that, I joined a few companies, which is mainly as product designer and also senior automotive stylist. And on 2013, I was diverting my profession into furniture designer. So on 2014, I established my own design studio, which is focusing on design collaboration and also producing a bespoke furniture design. And on recently, I came out with a few brands, which is focusing on fine solid wood furniture and also kitchen cabinet furniture. So this is example of my previous work during my study years. As I mentioned just now, my background was industrial design, so we are kind of related with a bit how to say product or automotive or industrial parts product. This is my example of my works in Shimano. So in Shimano, I was positioned as junior designer because I was fresh graduated at that time. So my job focusing more on styling, color, and also the texture of the fishing reel. And after that, I joined another Japanese company, which is producing body kits parts for few brands. such as Nissan, Mitsubishi, and other Korean or local manufacturer. So on 2013, I joined one local competitions, which is called Mobili. So these competitions provide young emerging designer to venture into furniture design by supporting the winner to exhibit the works in Milanese Salone Satellite. So I've been joining since 2013 until 2016. A few works I did exhibit over there. So this is our booth back then on 2015, 2016, and some of the parts, some of my design has been selected by the Salone Satellite 20 years 20th anniversary collections, which was held in Milan also. So some of my parts have been selected to be a permanent collection of museum in outskirts of Milan. So this is basically a few of my collaboration with a local company. So I start off with a company called Casa. So I have a team of mine comprises of 5 designers. So we mainly collaborated with a few manufacturers around Malaysia. So this is a few collection we did for the brand called Casa. This was a dining set, which was a award-winning design in 2018. And this is our own brand. As I said just now, we are producing fine furniture, which is focusing on solid wood furniture called Antara. So all these pictures has been taken around exhibition across Kuala Lumpur. So we try to exhibit craftsmanship, some traditional but minimalism take on traditional design, and we kind of like interpret a new language of Malaysian traditional design, but we still keep the value inside the DNA of our product. So another brand we collaborated called Linea, which is kind of more mass or middle to low range of furniture. They are mainly using panel, metal, and also upholstered stuff. So these are some of example of my client back then. Okay, so I will start with my the title of my presentation today called Design DNA. So what I mean by DNA is which is myself, how I interpret my own DNA, and then how I combine with inspiration of subject matter to come with the inspiration for the product that I design. So as years goes by, I identify few key elements that I like to emulate every time I design my my product or my furniture, which is I kind of like a continuous line. There's a lot of sense of movement, and the total appearance of the vibe of my design is kind of delicate and modest, not too shouty and not too vibrant. This kind of reflect with our culture in Malaysia, which is our people is kind of prefer modesty over extravagance or sort of like that. Okay, so for the subject matter, I have a few key elements that I explored. during my experience of designing, which is kind of varies and also interchangeable. So there are cultural and heritage, materiality and production technique. It could also based on art, total art and design fundamental, and also as usual functionality and biomimicry, which is quite a norm in design design industry. So I start off with cultural and heritage. So this DNA and inspiration I try to balance out with current trend and some modernism take on it, so that it could be subtle and not too which is I can say I can achieve a good balance of acceptable of people, like a democratic design, but at the same time there's a lot of DNA and inspiration I injected into the design, which is kind of a layer over underneath. So I start with the cultural and heritage. So this chair, I call it Mezzaluna chair, which is a crescent chair, inspired by the kite of our traditional kite. This is the kite at the top here. So the kite has very prominent graphical outlook, where it has positive and negative shapes, which is I translated into the chair. As you can see, the chair has a lot of movement because the kite is flying over the sky. So I kind of translate that into fluidity of design, but using solid wood technique of making furniture. And also I try to integrate the strong graphical element of this kite into my design. So even though chair is a static object, but we can put some language to make it more fluid and more lot of sense of movement. So this is another chair which I call Serambi. Serambi is actually a veranda of our traditional house. So this is our traditional Malay house, where we have open patio, if you like, or veranda, to invite people to come around and come to our house without invite them into our private section of the house. So in this area, it's kind of like a really airy, very opening kind of space. So I translate that the airiness and opening sense of space into this chair. So as you can see, this chair is very sleek, a lot of negative space, and also some details like the floor of the veranda. I translate that into the seat of the chair, where you have a texture of a wooden plank. This is sorry. This is another example of how I translate our traditional craftsmanship or traditional product into different kind of product, which is a folding chair. So I'm using this principle of design, where you have a fully 100% wood become a folding. This we call it rehal to hold our Quran or book when we read it. So this mechanism, I translate that into my folding chair, which is totally flat pack and collapsible. And some of the element I try to make it more slim and also show some kind of likeness with the structural treatment. Another one, also inspired by our heritage and traditional icon. This is we call tanja. It's actually a headgear, where back then people from different parts have different kind of headgear to represent their place where they're coming from. So it's like a coat dressing back then, if you like. So it's actually a single piece of cloth where they fold it into a multiple infinity. You can fold it, according to your creativity and according to your taste. But what intrigued me is that with a single sheet of cloth, we can make it a 3D dimensional product, a 3D dimensional object, which is, I translate that into this sofa, where you have like, it's kind of like you see a big foam of sofa upholstered, single foam, but folded and become a seat, a structure of this sofa. Okay. And also I kind of like inspired by everyday products or everyday scenes of our daily life in Malaysia. Sometimes we could be inspired by food. This is a curry puff, a good delicacy of our in our culture. So what I like about this is how delicate this detailing of this eclim, where you fold the flour together to keep the stuff or the you can have meat or chicken inside. So this kind of delicacy, delicate treatment, that I translate that into my clock. So chubit means pinch in English. So even though the wood is, we know is hard material, but with some kind of treatment or a minimal, subtle take on detailing, it can make it look as if it is soft material. Okay. So, but sometimes I like to combine different inspirations. For example, more open theme, like a tropical theme, which is I translate into a few icon of our culture. So this is our traditional cloth for men, which is very minimal and very loose because of our hot tropical climate. And also this is our flip-flop, if you like, which is very practical for a tropical climate. And also our architecture is really inspired by how to get the air and the light without dampening our situation whereby you have rain or harsh condition outside. So with that, these three keywords I translate into the Link chair, which I was designed for Nokta, a Malaysian brand. So as you can see, the minimal and loose and casualness of this chair is actually derived from this image. So I try to get the chair looks a bit casual by letting the metal frame and the wood setting on each other, but in the very minimal and loose way of attaching each other. So as you can see, the wood panel or the wood backrest and the seating area is kind of like slide away from this structure of this metal, and it creates also the negative space around it, so that it gives more airiness feeling of it, just like our tropical climate. So my recent project, which is I tried to incorporate it with craftsmen of wood carving. So in this project, I was assigned to came up with a few collections which is how to integrate uh, woodworking and wood carving ornamental object into this furniture to make it more uptrend and widely acceptable for modern audience. So this is one of the product, Highboard, which is incorporated with few modern and traditional material. For example, you have glass at the front, and you have wicker weaving, rattan weaving at the side and the back. And I place the carving at the center of this cupboard, so it become ornamental and as well as function as a handle to open the door. And this is another one for TV unit, which was using the tambour door. When you slide the door, it kind of fold at the back and become you can access the space inside. And then this is a gift box, a gallery box, where I try to play around with the very minimal shapes and minimal carving area to make it more elegant and more modern. At the same time, this draft angle here, provide as a hidden handle, if you like, due to this different degree of shapes. And also, I tried to explain about material and also production technique that influenced my design. So I start off with aloe rattan chair. So this is 100% rattan chair. So the special about this rattan chair is that I tried to run away from a traditional concept whereby you have to use a lot of rattan structure to make it stiffer and make it the structure stronger. So by this look, it's kind of like retain the traditional image very much, that you cannot run away from it. So I tried to figure out how to make it more simplified and at the same time retain the structural strength. So the result is that the rattan is I divide it into half, and then I join it back together with another piece. So in this result, I achieve very minimal, elegant, at the same time very strong structure without using additional extra rattan support. So this is the prototype and this is the product. So the wicker also is a rattan skin. We use it, rattan skin, and hand woven by the craftsmen. Another one, also rattan chair, but this time I incorporated with a metal structure to give it more contrasting and modern take on rattan. So what my intention here is that I want to emphasize, exhibit and exaggerate the key element, key character of rattan, which is flexibility. So by using this kind of shapes, I try to use it as a backrest of this armchair. As you can see, it's free, kind of like a free structure, more like cantilevered structure, but you can play around with the curvature and also the flow of the material. So when you lean back, you can have like a feedback of structural bounce, because of the rattan is really that special. So this is what I want to explore or exhibit of the rattan material. And also it could be inspired by art and fundamental, whereby sometimes I use totally not shapes or form, but more like a texture and also tactile texture and also color. So this is a kind of texture that we can be found in our more traditional house. So I kind of like apply the louver of the house as the outside shell of this sofa, where you have external structure that protect the inside soft and cozy cushion inside. And this is another take on how I integrated carving, minimal carving into this product accessory, and combined with another modern material like such as resin. So this is what I said about just now, whereby you can have the texture and color as the main inspirations of our design. So in this, which was designed by I designed for Elite Bed in Switzerland, whereby this concept is pretty much play around with different material, different color, and different texture to create a very fresh take on bed design. So as you can see, this bed is actually structurally same, but the color can change the outlook totally from monochrome, more like masculine, and also this one more like open, modern or fresh take on bed design. This one, it can be also inspired by fashion and by sculptural design. So I sometimes use this inspiration to come up with a really modern concept, because this is just a concept, because still figuring out how to make the hand of this watch to be like this, very sculptural and very minimal. As for now, I cannot find any solution of it, so it's still in conceptual. So this is some of my DNA, which is I really like about sculptural and minimalism design, whereby you have a single piece of metal, you can fold it and make it into a sculptural for daily use object. This is another one for coffee table. So how about functionality and biomimicry? So this is I try to mimic this hornbill, whereby you have where this bird is very special, where it has a very prominent beak, colorful, very strong essence of color, oversized beak. So this oversized beak, I translate that into this jug and cup set, where you have oversized spout to pour the water and also to drink the water from it. So this is made 100% out of bamboo, whereby you have a single bamboo and then I cut the bamboo into a specific angle, and then I join it back together, and then we can get this kind of form, beautiful form, simple but also functional form. And also I could be inspired by something that is not visible at all, but because as for example, this one is I take from the wind. So wind has no form, but the surround area of where the wind flow by, we can have like a capture of the nature of the surrounding of it, kind of like capture the essence of the wind, whether it's a strong wind or a delicate wind. So this chair is how I could translate the wind into this solid wooden chair. So I would like to share for you guys some of my case study. I have 3 case study. So the first one would be the lentor vase, which is made 100% out of bamboo. So the design brief, we try to create something low environment impact product and support the rural industry by using very low tech machinery or low tech tools. For this project, we only use knife and also hand drill to produce something elegant vase like this. So in the research and study, we kind of like apply the proportions, the divine ratio, and also some organic and natural aesthetic of the bamboo to make it look elegant and also less industrial look. So as you can see, the design limitation versus motivations, because the design limitation is that we kind of have the low tech production process capacity, but at the same time our motivation is that we want to appreciate the bamboo in natural whole form without cut it and make it into a panel. So how can we appreciate bamboo in its natural form? So one of the element of this bamboo is that we use proportions of this golden spiral, where you have everything is calculated into a specific ratio, and as a result, when we combine the three structure over here, you kind of have like a natural curvature which is created by the bamboo itself. It's not made by machines or any tools. It's a natural curvature. That's really kind of like we try to express the uniqueness of bamboo in its natural form. So as you can see, the details of it, 100% by handmade. So another one, which is the same technique, also 100% bamboo. The white part is also bamboo, but we paint it white to make it more interesting and contrasting. So it's really collapsible, whereby you don't have to use any fastener or screw, just 100% bamboo. So the strength of bamboo can hold the glass top, which is quite heavy. So I go to my case study number 2, which is a twine chair, which was designed for Formabilio in Italy. So the design brief, we try to produce some protagonist chair, which is a strong character, but at the same time, we have to match with the sculptural and poetic design of existing table, which is one is more sculptural and one is more casual and sleek. And the material is only limited to wood, metal, and upholstered material. So during my research and study, I noticed that consumer product look less industrial but become more fashionable and homey. So softer, because you see the trend now, back then furniture is kind of look more softer or more fashionable rather than more industrial and more rigid. So a lot of pleasing texture and color combinations. So in my limitation and motivations, I want to achieve some novel joinery. At the same time, I can achieve a sculpture and protagonist image, really strong character of the chair. So with this, it's kind of like the metal tube is folding into one piece, 360 like this, and you can reduce the welding machinery parts, and also you can create the unique joinery of metal and wood, and also it gives like comfortable and inviting curvy shapes. And as for another advantage is that you can combine with different color and different materials and texture and so on. So this is the final chair, the result. So it's same concept I applied to this side table, whereby you have this twining of this metal tube create a structural effect where you don't have to use a lot of welding or screw to fasten the tube into this wooden top. Another one I explained to pendant lamp. Same concept. You have one single tube and then you're twining the metal tube into a unique structure. For the case study number 3, it's the one that we achieved a good design award from Japan Good Design Award in 2018. Sorry. This is the, I call it asymmetry TV unit, whereby this TV unit is actually designed with the TV as a main or one of the element of this design. So the brief is that when we have a loose furniture in the market, it's always symmetrical, but when we have this built-in furniture, people kind of like arrange it into different or imbalance or asymmetrical positioning, and then they try to balance out with some accessory or book or some stuff to make it a complete arts or balancing where you have asymmetrical balance. So in this kind of inspiration, why not we can apply that into a loose furniture. So this is the study that I did, was that I studied a lot of the element of design by Rowena Reed Costello and the structure of visual relationships, where you have positive and negative space interplay, where you have a subdominant, dominant, and also subordinate to balance out everything. So the limitation of this, which is, as a panel-based product, it's quite boxy. You cannot play around any more than that. So the end product will be look as geometrical as construction. But my motivation is that I want to create something dynamic out of this static volume. So this, as I said just now, the TV is one of the actor of my design, where I place it as a subdominant element, and then supported by the dominant panel or the drawer of this TV unit, and these metal parts act as a subordinate element. So what this composition did is that I can achieve a gestural movement of eye flow, where you have this line continuous to create a more dynamic and more easy flowing appearance, although the parts is a static and geometrical parts. So as a result, there's a lot of other advantage of this design, whereby you have the interplay of positive and negative space, which create a spatial storage by overlapping the intersection volume. So it's kind of like more spontaneous structure that in the result of this combination of this space between negative and positive interplay. So this is other example of my design, which I did for local manufacturer also. So a kind of like a more modern based on modern inspiration and also flexible lines that we can find in the market. So as the result is that we have this kind of very boxy shapes, which is kind of like suit for interior architectural space, but the inside is more comfy, that relatable to human body and supporting for human physical, and also to give more comfy and also uh, soothing experience of sitting. With that, I like to end my presentation now, and thank you.
Thank you, Shahril. I request you to stop sharing the screen so that we can have a small discussion. Shahril, really wonderful to see your work, and I think you are not feeling well, and I could see that throughout the presentation you were feeling a little uncomfortable. So I don't know how long but I'll just keep it very short. Maybe if you want to have a small break, you want to have a glass of water or something, please feel free.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay.
So I'll not make it very long. Try and keep it short. I was really impressed, because the one slide you shared the title of the presentation, which is called Design DNA, and that in that one slide where you explained what that design DNA means for you. So on one hand, you have certain personal sort of let's say the design inclinations, let's say the continuous line, and the things that you actually bring in as the designer. On the other hand, you have certain subject matter, let's say, which is the culture, which is the material, the art, and I think the four things that you talked about, and that sort of completes the picture. We said, okay, this is what actually forms the core principle with which Shahril Design Studio works. So one of the things, and that I actually understood is that it is essentially a Malaysian DNA that one can see running it throughout all the objects and all the furniture, because it's so much rooted into the context of the Malaysia. So your starting points are the food, the culture, the architecture, and also the not only the nature around you, and all of that sort of try to come into this in one or the other way. So in a way, it's a kind of a Malaysian DNA that you are sort of trying to bring in your design. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've felt that particularly the tropical climates, and also if you look at the architecture of it, the objects that you showed, there is already an inherent simplicity that exists. Okay.
Yes. Exactly.
As part of the culture, you also said that there is, in the Malaysian culture, there is an inherent sense of modesty. And when we bring in the contemporary sort of values, which we are trying to minimize, going towards the minimalism, trying to bring in the modern values, is it become a kind of a natural thing for it to sort of adapt to those values?
At first, it was not like that. In my case, in our design scene, we always have this whereby when you want to design something, it will look totally traditional, or it looks very westernized. Until that you kind of lose the element of our culture. So what I did was that in my experience during my stay in Europe and also in Japan, I see how they kind of like implement everything in their daily life or their culture, but in subtle way, not very direct, but when you see through, you study more, you can see how things are related to each other. For example, during my days at Shimano in Japan, my senior designer was a Japanese guy. He was designing a fishing reel, which is quite very technical object and very high precision precision machines. But he incorporated kabuki. You know kabuki, there's a lot of mask character. So he kind of like instilled that into the design. When I see it, when he explained to it, then I see, oh, yeah, it's really interesting. You know, some things you shouldn't left it behind, but you can put it hidden inside the design, so it become alive for many years.
True. So the key difference here is that the traditions are still alive. I mean, it's not that it's a completely. If I look at, I think in the context of, let's say, Southeast Asia, India, Malaysia, Indonesia, and even Japan. When we look at Tadawando's work, I could see in one of your furniture there was a book on Ando. So one can see that there is a different approach to modernism, where the elements of tradition are still pretty much alive. And do you think that makes an important gives a character to what we are trying to do here, that is different, fundamentally different from what's going on, let's say, in West or some other places?
Yeah. So yeah, it's still because you want to make it relevant, because like in our young generation right now, where they appreciate more every item come from Western civilization. So, but as designer, we are responsible to like educate in a very subtle way, not very direct, whereby you can have like, you have I give you a modern design, but without they realizing it, I put some element of our culture to make it it is as it is. For example, what differentiate between the Thailand and Indonesia is very close to our culture, but what really differentiate our sort of appearance and aesthetical is that we are more humble and modest. We are not that extravagant or not that shouty. So that kind of humbleness and modesty that I try to incorporate it along with my design.
Yeah, very true. And that sense of modesty and humbleness is something that I've actually been trying to look at many of the furniture designers work from that region, from Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and one can sense that there is that sense of simplicity, modesty, and approach to the material also is something that connects that region and gives it a distinct identity.
Yes.
So one of the you talked about also working with sustainable materials, right? And you've been one of the concerns is to address the issues of the sustainability. How do you think that in the furniture design one can sort of address the issues of the sustainability? How do you sort of try to bring in? There is a lot of exploration with bamboo. There is a lot of exploration with the craft that you're doing. So what is your views on that?
Okay, to be honest, in Malaysia industry, we kind of have like a bottleneck in the rattan and bamboo industry, whereby we still have this problem where the supply and the demand problem. So the market kind of like diminishing a lot since 90s. So we don't have a lot of bamboo manufacturer, and also we don't have like rattan manufacturer, craftsmen anymore. So, but we do have, as you know, Malaysia is top 10 export furniture in the world, where we export a lot of rubber wood material furniture into US and Japan. So we did a lot of with metal and also wood as per se. So in order to achieve sustainability, I think it lies on the design itself, starting from the point where you sketch the first line, where you have to think about reducing, and reducing. Make it simple, make it easy to assemble, make it easy to produce. But the challenging part is make it different and also make it aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you no matter what, you still gonna use the material, right? No matter what, you still gonna use it. The material is there to be used, but the way I think of sustainability is how you want to use it smartly, how you want to use it efficiently, so that the resources is not wasted like that, just like that. Yeah.
Very true. So, and also, you've talked about. I mean, I was looking at your website. Also, there's a very interesting term that you've coined of contemporary craftsmanship. Okay, so how to bring what is the role of the crafts and the craftsmen sort of bring in, because there's a lot of work that you do with the rattan that you showed, where you will be dealing also with the bamboo. You're dealing with the local craftsmen. So, are there some crafts alive with the people with whom we are working? What kind of relationship your studio has with the crafts?
Yeah, we did try with bamboo because we tried to emulate the one that very normal in Indonesia, whereby they have this umbrella concept or rural concept of craftsmen, where in every village they have like craftsmanship behind the house, like doing the chair or weaving, same like in Vietnam or Thailand. But here in Malaysia, we kind of have moved too fast to machinery and factory, so we kind of lose that. But we still have a lot of craftsmen in terms of wood carving. So this new project of mine, I was dealing with craftsmen, where they used to have a lot of wood carving for doors, or big object like frame or interior ornamental. But we see how we can minimize that, so that you can have a very minimal workload, but at the same time you can have high impact of the product. So we kind of integrate the one that I showed just now, how minimal and simple, not very big kind of carving can enhance the overall appearance of furniture and give some uniqueness, but at the same time kind of keep up with the modernity trend.
Yeah. So the Shahril, you started your studio in 2014, I think, and initially in the Delft, and then you moved on to the Malaysia. So how is it like establishing your practice? I mean, what are the challenges that you've been facing working with big brands and reaching up to the point where you are as a studio?
The challenge.
Yeah. Challenges of working with the big brands also.
Yeah, of course. When we come with challenge, like we are from Malaysia, so we are from a Southeast Asia country, so we are not well known for our design industry. So at the starting, it's kind of have like a lot of trust issue, or whether you cannot show them what you got. So the thing is that you need to, I have to build up some track record, and also some proven track record, to make they believe that we from Malaysia, we can do something good. But the challenge I faced that over there, I have one project at this point of time where we kind of selling our furniture to Sweden, but the manufacturer of that point of time was in Indonesia, not in Malaysia. So there's a lot of, because I was stay in Netherlands, so there's a lot of traveling, and I cannot be there all the time. So, but the problem arises when we face a lot of quality issue because I was not there to supervise. So the one that should do the job didn't do it carefully. So I was thinking I should be in Southeast Asia and then send the material or the furniture to Europe instead of I staying there. And here I feel like I have more freedom to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, what's the strength of the studio? Like how the structures, how many people, how is the work organized? I mean, how is the team like?
We have partners, more like partners. So in the studio we have 5 designers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you also get into the production, so you also have some workshops, some production facilities where you sort of try and do the testing, the prototypes, etc. Or how does the manufacturing process happen? So you're tying up with other industries.
Okay, so basically we don't have any in-house production capability. So what we do is like we partnering with few manufacturer. So we kind of have like a partner in woodworking, manufacturer, metal, in order to reduce everything and make it more easy to control.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's it is really fantastic to see. And one finally, I think I would like to conclude by asking you a question: what are the sort of future aspirations and projections from at your studio? I mean, where do you want to take this thing? I mean, let's say down the line.
Okay. Back then, before the pandemic, we're opening a new showroom. In fact.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. But it only lasts for 1 year because of the pandemic, and we couldn't cope up with the situation because we think that the timing was really wrong. So we have to minimize everything, and we have to minimize the loss, cut the loss, and then retreat and think back what we should do. At the same time, this pandemic really teaches about how we going to make stuff without depending on many stakeholders. For example, as you know, we are a middleman. We are designer. We design for client, but we don't produce ourselves. We partner with people to produce for our client. So when our partner cannot open their factory, we really kind of have like stuck in the middle. So I was thinking maybe in the future, maybe not related into really furniture, maybe more onto the product or accessories item, whereby you can produce in more local or small production area, not relying on big manufacturing facilities.
Yeah. So basically, you want to control. So then you can have a better control at the quality and the quantity.
Yes.
Yourself are getting into the production yourself.
Yeah.
I think that sounds wonderful.
Maybe we can incorporate technology, for example, 3D printing.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, actually, when I looked at that table, that bamboo table that you showed, where you had this bamboo joint with the white painted.
Yeah.
So far I was thinking it's actually 3D printed, because it's only now when you explain that no, it's actually a bamboo. So the whole thing is bamboo. But yeah, I think there's a great potential if you sort of bring in that aspect of technology with the craft, and some wonderful opportunities can emerge. Shahril, thank you so much. It was wonderful to talk, you look at your work, and then to interact with you. You were having some health problem, but you still, I think, came, you delivered the lecture, and you gave us your wonderful time. Thank you so much for all of that.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And I would like to conclude here by thanking all the people who have joined with us on social media. Thank you for joining with us. We'll be having one more interview next Tuesday with a very interesting architect from Sri Lanka, Lalit Gunadasa. So I hope to see you all back next Tuesday. Thank you so much.